Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, 1 week after tropical cyclone Batsirai hit the southeast coast of Madagascar, the death toll continues to rise. At least 121 people have lost their lives, including 87 people who reportedly died following landslides. With more details, I'm joined this morning by Odillo Kgobetsi, Chief Weather Forecaster at the Namibia Meteorological Service. Good morning, Odillo, and welcome to Good Morning Namibia.
Good morning.
Odillo, please tell us what is the latest on the cyclone in Madagascar?
The cyclone Batsirai is the done story. It is already moved over the parts and already moved in the channel, the Mozambique channel, and further on it moved further to the cooler waters further in the Indian Ocean. So the system that is now prevailing is another cyclone that is developing again over Madagascar, but Batsirai has already moved away over the region.
Now, Odillo, there would seem to be a change in the frequency of these cyclones. Is that a correct observation?
The cyclones, it's normally air masses that are developing over the water surfaces. And once we see a rise in temperatures, then the frequency normally increases. So you are quietly putting it right that we are seeing more frequent storms that are coming through over the regions of the Indian Ocean, and also a trend of that moving over land into Mozambique and becoming tropical depressions. And it's also the ones that moved over Namibia the past 2 weeks back over the regions of SADC.
Now, Odillo, against that background, help us understand why Madagascar is prone to cyclones.
Madagascar is sitting right in the sea, in the Indian Ocean, and most of the islands also around within the Indian Ocean are prone to be in the area of warm waters, and these systems normally develop then east of the areas of Madagascar. So temperature rise in the oceans give the probability then of these systems to develop. They normally becoming deep low pressure systems, becoming very strong with strong winds, and therefore carrying a lot of moisture. And therefore, the islands then are normally become victims of these systems as it moves through.
Please, in layperson's terms, help us understand why low pressure would play such a significant role in these cyclones.
What happens is that there's general circulations and within the atmosphere as well as the surface areas. We have permanent features like the Mascarene and the St. Helena that normally controls the systems over the seawater. So what happens is that these systems develop then if there is a lot of moisture or there is a depression then within the area, and we normally see that these systems are always in movement. In the case of tropical cyclones, that is now over the Indian Ocean or close to our region, which is SADC, the movement is to move from east to west. So that is the normal trajectory of these systems. So these systems develop over the sea. They have certain characteristics. They need high temperatures of more than 27 degrees Celsius. And with the pressures that are normally in circulations then, if there is a deep low pressure system then developing, then it becomes very deep and forms, would not call it a tropical eye over the cyclone. So this is the areas then where we have that deep convection. It normally reaches also deep layers of the atmosphere. And with that movement, normally triggers severe thunderstorms and strong winds as it passes over any area that is within their space of trajectory.
Now, that tropical eye that you just mentioned, please unpack it further for us, and what is it surrounded by under these circumstances?
Can you come back again to me?
The tropical eye that you just referred to, what exactly is it and what is it surrounded by?
Yeah, what normally happens is that you find that the tropical eye is within a space. If you look at the satellite image, it's within a space of the dark area. That is normally around it. You'll find that there's a lot of calmness within it, but around the sphere of it, you find there's a lot of strong winds that is normally occupied by a lot of moisture that is then developing over that areas, and the movement of that storm shows actual indication towards the trajectory of the system as it moves through. And as I just indicated that it depends as well also what happens further south of the trajectory of the tropical cyclone. At times it comes through the areas close by, like over the areas of Madagascar, and moves slightly overland. And then if the system is not very strong, then the trajectory is for that to move further southwards without moving into the Mozambique Channel. But if the winds are then very strong, then they normally stay this system to cross over Madagascar, as what happened in this case with Batsirai, and then it normally moves over the areas and then again into the channel. Once it reaches the sun channel, it depends also it depends from the temperature also in the channel. So if the temperature is very high or warm, then it gives the trajectory of moving over land. And in many cases, we have seen that moving over Mozambique and also becoming a tropical depression and then moving over land and giving also that moisture that moves in places further into land. And that is actually what happened the past 2 weeks over Namibia, with that remnants of moisture that also drifted into Namibia, where there is also some low pressure systems that were developing by then. And with that, with the systems, what happens is that with pressure system, it normally moves towards an area where the pressures are more lower than the area itself, the surrounding area. And that's what happened. And then it maintained this type of system as it moved over parts of the SADC region, over Zimbabwe, over Zambia, as well over Namibia, where we got significant falls out of these remnants of this tropical depression. But in case if it moves over the channel and then the water is a bit cooler, then the trajectory is to move further southwards into the channel and into the cooler waters, and then actually degrade, then become normal low pressure system.
Now, Odillo, on the one hand, this sounds quite complex, but on the other hand, to a layperson, it would seem that the conditions, unfortunately, are conducive to storms. We do know that this is the second storm in recent weeks that hit Madagascar. Do we expect more storms in the near future?
Yeah, the tendencies during this period of time is that there is that likelihood of having these systems, because it's been monitored by regional centers, that is like in La Reunion. There's a tropical center there, and they normally give advisories to national meteorological services. They have the mandate to do that, and we normally are in contact with the national, with the rest of the real meteorological services, and in this case, the tropical cyclone in La Reunion. So these systems are more evident during the summer period, or March, April, January, February, March. And we know that during this period of time, there is always that cyclus of these storms to move in over the region. But the severity it should be monitored as it comes through.
Now, the seemingly widespread but scattered thunder showers that we have been seeing here in the land of the brave, are those expected to continue over the next couple of days?
Yes, the good part of that is it's going to still continue. We are very blessed that at least these systems end up breaking through. It was basically due to the low pressure system they were developing slightly north of Namibia, and that is over the southern part of Angola. This is actually caused a lot of moisture then to drift in over the northwestern part of Namibia, and typically these type of systems are very good to cause a lot of thunder showers or to keep the system stationary, and that was the case as we could see that further west over the Atlantic, there was also the development of low pressure systems. Once these low pressure systems are developing over the ocean, they normally keep the system very stationary. It's not moving very fast, keep it intact, and therefore that is the reason we had a lot of rains that was persistent over the north, the northwestern part, the Rongo Kunene region, as well as over the central parts and further to the southern parts of Namibia. Due to the high pressure system that was also very strong over Botswana, it kept some areas over the east as well as over parts of Tunkwe slightly dry because of that reaching then of cooler air, and then also the dryness then that is actually evident for the past few days over that areas. And we are expecting this still to continue over the north. The rains will continue over the north, the west, as well as over the southern parts of Namibia. A bit of dryness still expected then by tomorrow over parts of the central high ground, especially over the eastern sector of the high ground. But as we move next few days, we see that the system is then backtracking or moving slightly back again towards the eastern parts. Therefore, we should see then in general thunder showers then to be over Namibia and more scattered falls or widespread falls over the north and the central areas of Namibia.
Odillo, any final thoughts this morning before we let you go?
The main thing that was coming through is the occurrence of lightning that was striking also the human beings as well as livestock. The advisory will always be that people should try to keep the animals, make sure that they are in enclosed area, and in the case of human beings, to avoid open spaces or to be outside there in the open space, because lightning can normally strike because of reflections on the ground, which is already like where there's some water bodies already lying over the surface. So people should take the necessary precautions, because we had a lot of reports that was coming through of lightning strikes, and we lost lives, unfortunately, and as well as some livestock. So people should make sure that if there is an onset of severe storms, at least to be in an enclosed environment.
Odillo, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for sharing your expertise this morning.
Very much welcome, and have a blessed day.